So what this is going to be is we use really great words. We're going to have an inspiring fireside chat with successful roofing contractors who have been there and done that. We're going to hear their stories about innovation, hard work, and gain some insights about how they overcame some challenges to achieve the business of their dreams and what they've learned along the way. All right? So I'm going to go through. I want each of you guys to, and girls, Jamie's here, and tell us who you are and a little bit about your business.
So my name is River Tennell. I own Shield Tech Roofing Solutions. We are a national company, and we also work all over the Caribbean doing a lot of resorts. I would say that we are probably the lowest key company in the business, but we do a hell of a lot of big volume on that. I try and actually stay invisible, so it's odd for me to come out of the woodwork and do this type of event, but my good friend TJ rooked me into it, so here I am. So anyway, business is great, loving life, and I look forward to hopefully, making some inspiration and learning some stuff myself.
I'm going to plug River just a little bit. If you guys don't know who River is one of the biggest commercial builders in the country. So if you guys ever need help with building commercial roofing systems, this is your guy. So go ahead, Jamie.
Okay. My name is Jamie Yoshida. I'm a project manager at Aspen Contracting. I've been in the industry for a few years. And what else did you want to know?
Oh, that's great.
That's it. That's good. Yep. I'm good.
What's your sign?
What's my sign? Yeah. Right.
I think you overstated having the business of our dreams. We were joking earlier about all the guys are bald mostly, right? So not saying the roofing industry is stressful, but I've been in it for about 26 years, and so I think that's the reason I lost all my hair. I'm Corey Combs, owner of South Shore Roofing and Exteriors. We're based out of Tampa. Been roofing in Florida since 1995, and I think, I have to say over the last few years, I think the biggest impact on my business has been the networking and the events like this where we can kind of learn from each other and really understand the struggles and adopt new technologies. I mean, just something as simple as what Pete said about color coding our workflows, which I've had a relationship with Pete since I opened my company. He was my onboarding trainer with the CRM we won't mention, but just something like color coding the workflow so everybody knows how to stay in that particular workflow inside their job function was a gold nugget, man. So I reached out to my ops manager and said, hey, change the color codes on the workflows right now. And so we did that. So that's been the biggest impact on my business so far.
Real quick, Corey owns a major a really awesome company here in Florida. And one of the things about Corey's business that really captured my attention is that they don't do any insurance work. So it's all retail based. So, yeah. If you guys want to talk to Corey more about that, please do. And last but not least.
Hello, I'm Jonathan Brose, managing partner in MHI. We own Ugly Roof as well it's a roof rejuvenation company. But roofing industry my whole life. I'm a Jimmy Buffett song, the son of a son of a son of a roofer. So there's a couple of extra sons in there. So my great-grandfather put the original gold leaf on the Capitol in West Virginia. So I've got a cool pictures of that and stuff like that. So been in the roofing industry most of my life. Worked in the north mostly. I came down here about 7 years ago with, getting licensed and IRMA and all that fun stuff and kind of stayed and actually finally sold the house in West Virginia and here full time now. So.
Well, he's not just MHI Roofing. If you don't know John Brose owns a pretty major company in the roofing industry. How many people here have heard of roof rejuvenation? You guys have heard of roof rejuvenation?
All four of you, yes. Yes, success.
So John owns the company Ugly Roof, if you've ever heard of Ugly Roof before. Rejuvenation is becoming really big in our industry along with repairs. And I'd love for you guys to get to know John and get on their program too to become a dealer for them across the country. I've had multiple opportunities to spend time with their team in Pittsburgh and in West Virginia. And so far, Their company has topped everything on my list of great roofing companies. Their guys show up dressed for success every day. I'm not saying that doesn't happen in other companies. I just haven't spent time in your company. So, but they're really top notch. So, kudos to them. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We'll start with you, John, first. We'll just pass the mic down as we go. And this question is for all of you. So at what point, what was a catalyst or turning point in your career when you decided to be in the industry or start your own roofing business?
That's a fun question. So, again, I was in the industry most of my life. I didn't want to work for my dad. I love him, but we couldn't work together. God rest his soul. So went through about 3 or 4 other companies that I'd helped scale to like a major spot, 25, 30 million. And then the last company I was at, just never got to the ownership role. You're earning it, you're trying to do it. Guys will lie to you in this industry. I hate to say it. So just be careful. No. Just make sure you get stuff in writing. But once we got to a certain level there with that, I cashed out. I left. I bought into MHI. That was really the turning point. I would say was just I got tired of building a process for somebody else.
Yeah.
And then all the promises that just never came along with it.
That doesn't happen today anymore.
No. It happens all the time, unfortunately. But yeah, you're right.
How many years ago was that?
So I came here in 2019.
Okay.
Yeah. I bought into the company in 2019. We started out. We were the #1 James Hardy guy in Northeast. We did about $5 million in Hardy, which is not real big, but in that area it was at the time. We dropped it like a bad habit and only did roofing from that point forward. And we went from about 7 million to we'll probably do 25 to 30 this year. So
yeah, John is one of Roofer's biggest users at over 5,000 reports a year. So that's a pretty big feat. Corey, tell us a little bit about what your turning point was.
So when did I get into the industry? I dropped out of high school and I was working at a restaurant, and I had a friend of mine who he came one day. He used to work with me, and he came there one day. He said, "Hey man, I got a way we can make a lot more money." And I said, "Okay." So his father-in-law owned a roofing company, and I started on a tear-off crew, which back then we were tearing off pitch and gravel roofs, which I don't know if anybody's ever done that before, but I would come home black every day. And I'm a white guy roofing in Florida, right? Like that is just not, it's just not great. So that's how I started my career. Then I got into installing, and it was kind of good because we were doing a lot of production work at the time, and this was in Florida. A lot of the, HOA type neighborhoods were being built, and so we were just production. I learned how to shingle. I learned how to do flat roofs. I learned how to do all that stuff. So I really cut my teeth on starting in the bottom of the barrel and then kind of learning everything. And then I actually sobered up about 15 years ago and really started to get out of the field stuff and get into the sales and get into all of the things that are way better for me at my age. And I was working for a really big remodeling company actually, and I learned a lot about how to run a business at scale. They did about 20 million a year, but they did roofing, they did interior remodeling, they did siding, windows, they did everything. And I learned a lot there, but what I could never get past was I was their top sales guy every year. This was 15 years ago when I was selling $2.5 million every year. Which was a lot back then because the dollar values were way less. But they treated us like shit. Be honest with you. They just treated the sales team like trash. And I just decided one day I was doing some drawings with an architect that we worked with, and she said, "Man, why are you working for these people?" She's like, "You know the business, you know the industry, you sell really well, you're at the age where you're at earning potential." And I was like, you know what? Okay. So I spent the next 2 years, got my license, got both my licenses. I have a GC license and a CCC here. And then, 2018, I just said, you know what, let's go for it. Started the business with $10,000 and, ever since, and we'll do probably close to 20 million this year. And we're year 4. This is gonna be our for fourth full year. All retail. I can count on my hand how many insurance jobs I've done throughout, I came from retail, and that's what I know, that's what I love. And so I think that's pretty different in the Florida market. So
Can you handle 5 to 20 more leads?
I'm looking for Pete. Where's my 100 leads, Pete?
Pete's out there eating. Just real quick about Jamie. I didn't get to really introduce her well. I've known Jamie for a while. Jamie works for Aspen Contracting as a sales project manager. And the reason I brought Jamie here is because Jamie's been compiling a Bible of data ever since she's been in the industry that one day will hopefully be a book, right, for new salespeople. And I really love what she's doing over at Aspen. So tell us a little bit about what's been the turning point in your career and when you decided to actually be in our industry.
Right. Well, I don't own my company or anything. I'm not at that level yet, hopefully one day. But I started in the industry. I was falling on hard times in Colorado and I needed a job. I called my friend. I said, hey, I need a job. He said, I can get you one, but you're not going to like it. And so he got me a job installing commercial roofing in Colorado. So I did TPO, pavers, hot tar, stuff like that for a couple years. And
you actually were on the crew.
I was actually on the crew,
right.
roofing, installing it. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So
and you were crew supervisor too at one point.
Well, I got up to where I was reading the blueprints on the roofs for the plate systems, how they get laid out. That when you're laying down the deck, you have the plate systems and stuff. So I was getting to where I was reading the blueprints on that for the crew and telling them where to go with it. And somebody saw me on the roof and they're like, wait, you're smart. You're like, what are you doing? So come sell.
Right.
So I did. I took the leap and I went to go sell for a smaller company. I worked for a few companies here and there. Just learned everything I could possibly know about something I knew nothing about. Because I can't go sell something I don't know anything about. So I took as much opportunity to write down everything I could. I mean, down to what is a shingle, what is a gable, roofing 101.
Right.
And I have it all written down in a book, and so yeah, people, it's pretty cool. I've had it since I started, literally. So I do like that book.
Well, how many more years are you going to be, or how much longer till you own your own company? Soon?
I don't know. It's something to think about. Definitely on future goals list for sure.
I can say I didn't want to own a roofing company. I might want to now because of what happened in Colorado the other day. But,
yeah,
right. Kudos to you as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. River. Mr.
What's
Shield
up?
Tech. How many stages have you spoke on before?
Hundreds.
Hundreds?
Yeah.
Nice.
Not like this though. I had a rock and roll career for a long time.
True.
That's how I got into roofing. So I'm gonna try and make this short and sweet. So '89. If anybody's ever seen that movie with the guy who puts his guitar on his back and gets on a Greyhound bus and goes across the country to get a record deal, that was me. So I did luckily get a lot of record deals. I've had a great career for a long time in that industry. But to make money in the front end of that thing at 14, when I moved away, I got hired by a flat roof crew, which was pure hell, if I could just be honest. But I learned that I was actually really good at installing. Doing that, kind of fast forward a few years, I moved to Dallas. My brother and I started our first company. I was 19. We were doing full remodels at that point. And if anybody knows Dallas, we get a lot of hailstorms there. A lot of hailstorms. And I fell back onto the fact that I knew how to roof quite well. And we went really, really production heavy on that thing and honestly just slayed it from that point.
Yeah.
So did that. And, like a lot of people getting older, you go, well, I want to work a little bit less and scale a little bit more. And I've had an incredible career that it's really hard for me to kind of cram into a little period of time. But
how many squares have you done this year so far? Installed?
Yeah. About 35,000 squares. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, we're a very, 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 very production heavy company.
Yeah.
All over. We're big storm guys, as probably none of you actually know besides you in here. But we do that. We scale. I'd say that my biggest.
And you build roofs for some of the biggest top 10 roofing companies in the country, right?
I do. So, I'm Mr. Invisible. That's right. Yeah, I white label a lot of guys out there. A lot of people don't know commercial.
Right.
And like everybody here has said, everybody here grew up actually installing, which is great to hear, because most of these that I do, I'm like, oh, everybody's a big marketing company, sales company. They don't actually.
What's the problem with that?
Everything. Everything is a problem with that. It absolutely drives me crazy, but it also gives an opportunity. So
Awesome.
anyway,
Well,
go ahead.
nice, man. Well, we're going to go on to the next question. I'll go ahead and hit you with it. Is that all right?
Yeah.
How do you stay motivated during difficult times? And what advice would you give others who are struggling to stay focused on their goals?
So I stay focused during difficult times, which is every damn day in the roofing business.
Yeah.
If we're all going to be honest with ourselves.
Who here thinks that they're a firefighter every day, right?
All the time.
Fighting fire.
That's it. Well, the biggest thing is what I grew my company on was customer experience.
Yep.
Right, 100%. Customer experience and treating everybody that works on my team like they're gold. 100%. That's it.
And you do.
And I do. You know that. You know, you've been around me a lot on there. So staying motivated. If I get to a point where I'm like, cash flow is getting tough because I'm getting screwed by somebody or whatever, I always look at my team members. I look at them. I look at their families, their kids that I, most certainly care about, and I go, what did God put me here to do? To be a conduit for all these people here. So that keeps me pretty clear on the path of, continuing growth, continuing production. I think probably everybody in this store, in this room, has got stories of a lot of cuss word stories that we all get stuck into. How we're going to get the hell out of that one, and that keeps me going. So easy enough.
Yeah, real quick. Let me ask this: dealing with as many other people in the roofing industry as you do, how do you keep track of that, and then how do you protect yourself?
Really, really, really good contracts.
Yeah.
That's the best thing to do. That constant communication. Being a production-heavy company, guys make mistakes, right? We all know that. So keeping a clear line of communication, while you're doing that, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
How many owners do we have in here? How many salespeople do we have in here? Nice. So about 50-50. So I'm going to hand this off to Jamie here. How did you develop the skills necessary and the knowledge to do this job? And any resources or training recommendations that you can offer to everybody in here for how you've grown yourself?
Ask for question again. I'm sorry.
Oh,
So nervous.
Yeah, it's right there on the screen.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So the skills, like I said in the beginning, I just learned everything I could about roofing before I could go sell it. Aspen Contracting has trainings all the time. Mike Jansen, my manager, has trainings all the time. He keeps us on the up and up on products and installs, the new things in the industry. So just constantly learning and never stop learning. I'm constantly watching YouTube. I don't necessarily do a lot of certifications or classes or stuff like that. I'd like to start doing that. I want to look into getting more certifications and stuff like that, but just never stop learning. I just, it's kind of just go as you learn more as you go. As you're going in the industry, you're always going to learn. You're always going to learn new things. So
how many times a week do you meet with your team? And they're out of Missouri, right?
Well, our team is our manager, Mike Jansen. We're in Venice, so we have our office here. He has team trainings every Tuesday and Thursday, and then a team meeting every Saturday.
Nice.
So we meet at least that every, 3 times a week for just let's knock doors, let's do the pitch book, let's learn about this. Do you guys have any questions? What are you guys doing out in the field right now? What are you experiencing? Stuff like that. So it's all about the camaraderie and the always wanting to drive the motivation. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, awesome. All right, Corey, so what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced when you were starting out with roofing, and how have you overcome them?
Thank you for the easy question. Well, first I want to say, River, I really appreciate your answer on, how you stay motivated. That is genuinely just, you don't hear people talk about really caring for the people that work for us a lot, and I want to say I appreciate your answer, man. So some of my biggest challenges, it's always been personnel. When I started, I wanted to hire people that were in the industry before. I wanted to hire people that knew roofing. I wanted to hire people that knew sales in roofing, and I wanted to do that. I am diametrically opposed to doing that now, because I've had so many bad experiences with people that know the industry, and then they won't do things the way that I want them done. They think they have a better way. They think they know better. They think, all of this stuff, and then they wind up backing us into a corner, and I've got to get us out of it, right? And so that's always been my biggest challenge is the personnel side. So, I'll go back to how I overcame them. I think, Jamie's answer is the right answer. You train with your team constantly. John has been extremely helpful to me over the last couple years because, I'll ask him questions on process. I'll ask him questions on, what they do and get some insight on, how they solve some problems. And so training with my guys is huge. Having good, clear-cut processes that we can plug people into has just been invaluable. My biggest challenge right now is on the production side. We're having I just brought in a new project manager because my last one wasn't performing the way that they were supposed to. And now, labor is a real issue for everybody. We know that across the board. My guys seem to do really, really well for about 2, 3, 4, 5 months, and then all of a sudden something happens and they don't produce the quality of work. And all my guys are W-2, so I want to talk a little bit about how I'm structured that's a lot different than the industry standards. I don't subcontract anything. Everybody that I bring in, they're W-2. Jamie talked about sales, training and camaraderie and all that. I think where a lot of companies really miss the mark is they don't bring their installers into that same mindset. They don't train with their installers. They don't bring the installers into the family. They don't treat and respect those guys the way that they should. I mean, River said one of the most key phrases. He's like, I was working on the install side and it was hell. I mean, if you've never installed, you don't know how hot and how bad it is some days, right? And you don't have respect for those guys because they're doing it day in, day out. So Jason over at Eustace Roofing, I don't know if anybody knows him, but he was kind enough to let me go over and talk to him and see their operation one day. And what that dude does with his production is nothing short of amazing. Yeah. I mean, it is unbelievable the culture he has on the labor side. And then I was talking to him about the sales guys. He's like, I don't care about the sales guys, right? I was like, dude, that is amazing. And yes? How?
How did you do that culture on the work?
By respecting and bringing those guys into the family and into the fold and showing them the care that most of us show for our sales guys because they bring in our money, right? He did that on the labor side. So he takes guys off the roof, puts them into project manager roles, takes them off the roof, puts them into site manager roles. He helps them develop and grow. And then when those guys are in those roles, they tell the labor side how great the company is. And so he's created this culture where everybody feels valued on the labor side, which is like nothing I've ever seen in the industry. So I'm trying to do that with my guys. And so I know that was a long-winded answer on how you overcome those challenges, but retention and really doing the training across the board on the sales and the labor side, I think is the way you overcome that challenge.
Yeah, I'll add to that too. So with Jason, I know him really well as well. It's what he did was the culture. He just changed the whole culture in the community. Like it's all about like, he's got guys that line up every day to go to work. Like it's nothing that you've ever seen. Like I've visited 3 or 4 times, and there's 15 guys that are knocking on the door saying, "Hey, I want to come here and work." So he infiltrated the entire area with his people, and they go out and they recruit back. So that's what he's done. Is he just treats them like they're on a NASCAR team. That's his whole mentality. Is this is a NASCAR team. Cool. The driver gets in the car and drives. That's the sales rep. But you guys are the most important. So that's kind of how his approach was to it.
Jason's awesome too, by the way. I've had an opportunity to meet with him and see his operation as well. John, what do you think are the most important qualities or habits for someone who wants to achieve success in their own life?
Man, that's a deep question. So what do you think the most
Mal's
important
pretty deep.
qualities or habits? So most important quality always is character. Character is who you are when no one's looking. You can have integrity and do the right thing because somebody's looking, but you don't always, integrity to me is not the same definition as character. So that's the most important quality. The habit is really, it's in just getting up and doing it. I mean, I know it sounds simple, but having a consistent process, knowing what you're going to do within that process. You know, if you get up every day, I'm a creature of habit, so I'm the worst. My wife hates me for it, but I eat the same thing every morning. I do the same thing, and I go to do this. I take the dogs out for the walk at the same time. When you get into the routine, it's more like when you stick to the process, you have more freedom outside of it. I don't have to think about what's inside of the process. So I would say that that's part of the habit, and Pete talked about it earlier, but when you have a process that takes care of itself, I can step out of the process. The first time in my life was this past winter. I was able to go on a vacation and just shut my phone off for a whole week. I've never done that in my life, and the place didn't burn down. It was amazing. And for someone who wants to achieve success in their own life, so the same thing is it your character. You got to always be giving. I was always taught, time, talent, treasure. I've talked about this before. Most precious thing that we have is time. And I challenge everybody to give your time to other people that deserve your time, right? So that's the other part of it. So when River said earlier, it really hit me too. Is we've got 50 employees, and if somebody walks into the office, I just shut the laptop and talk to them. Even though it's that 30 seconds or that 1 minute of time, they've got my full attention because they might have something that I've been through that I can help them through. You're always a mentor to everybody around you. And if you have that mentality, be mentors to people around you, because we don't go through all this crap in life to go through all this crap in life, right? So always be giving back to other people and be willing to just share whatever your horrible story was. It might help their life. So that would be.
Who's your mentor?
My mentor. So my current mentor. My mentor was my dad, which he passed away last year. He always taught me that growing up, it was kind of. When I was young, I didn't understand it until later. So when you look at, he would set the bar and you reach up and grab it, that's cool, but you could have done just a little bit better. He always just kind of just helped you just get just 1 degree better in everything that you did. And I'll share this too as my mentor. So he said, when you measure success, so he would ask that question to everybody, and he always asked that to me, and I never understood his answer until after he passed away. But he said that when you measure success, he said, I'll be a success when my kids don't have to rent pallbearers at my funeral. And try not to get emotional with it, but when we were at the wake, we literally stayed 2.5 hours past the time because the place was lined up around the building. So he made an impact on people in his life just by being present and being just being a mentor to everybody around him. And so that's how he measured success. So I got to see his success play out, and he didn't. So the key to it, I would say, is success is not really a number, it's not really a metric. Get up and do it and be kind to everybody around you. That would be the main thing. So.
Something you were saying earlier, something I said the other day, it was don't be a nice guy, be a great man, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you always have responsibilities to everybody else, but don't play around, right? So this one's gonna be for everybody. John, I'll start with you real quick, okay? What's in the future for you, and what's your next big project for MHI and Ugly Roof?
It's all a secret.
We do this every shingle day.
We do this every shingle day, yeah. So what's in the future? Just build just take the foundation that we have and keep building. We want to build a legacy. It's not even about going to the kids, because I don't think my kids want anything to do with roofing, but it's more about just doing the right thing with everybody around you. I'll go back to what River said is, you want to, the 50 employees that we have, you love on each one of those every day. That's who my focus is. It's the Henry Ford approach. If you guys want to study somebody that changed the world, I know it sounds crazy, but Henry Ford, he started out with, he kind of took us away from the labor that we had, and he invented the 40-hour work week and had some type of a life balance, right? So a work-life balance. But he also took care of his employees, and then in turn, the employees takes care of the customer. I'm too far removed now to know what it's like with the customer. I hate to say it, but just to be honest, like, you know, I'm stepped back 2 or 3 spots now with all of our management and our team, but I take care of our team. Like, that's my customer now, is my team. So as you step back, that's one of the things. So that's not even whether the question was. But what's the next big project for our company? Really just scaling on the Ugly Roof side. You know, Corey's one of our guys now, and just really helping change the mentality of roofing contractors to understand what it's like to be a repair company and not just, you know, installations only. What it does to the homeowner and your lead generation, it just changes everything. So the next big project is kind of a secret, but it's kind of working on that repair marketing stuff. So
Nice.
I'm gonna wipe that off. My hands are sweaty. Here you go.
Everything sweats in Florida.
Yeah, well, it's not even hot yet. So,
It just gets started.
yeah, we're just getting started. So what's in the future for me? I'm going to kind of echo what John said. You know, we grew so fast. My company grew so fast, and I really fell into the trap of focusing a lot of my energy and time on the front end and pouring gas on the fire, even though I know production is the lifeblood of the company. You know, I always tell guys, like, it doesn't matter how much you sell. If you can't produce it and keep your customers happy, you might as well not sell those jobs, right? Because you're either not going to be profitable, you're going to have so many problems on site. It's going to be a nightmare for everybody. Well, I fell into that trap, and we got so busy and had such a backlog of work that it really stressed my production department. And it stressed my old project manager out so bad that, you know, we had to part ways. And so for me, what's next for my company is I'm going to dial it back a little bit. I'm going to slow down a little bit, which is counterintuitive, but I'm going to work on really getting my production super, super tight and making sure that, you know, we talk a lot about processes, right? And the thing about processes is your processes are only as good as your ability to teach the people coming in, right? I have great processes. What I don't have is I have shit documentation, right? Our processes are phenomenal. But if you look at our training documentation, you're like, okay, I understand what my job is, but I do not understand exactly how to do my job, because the detail on exactly how to do every single function of my job isn't there. So that's really my goal for this year, is to get that really, really super clarified for all of my team. And so that when we do need to plug somebody into it, I mean, my training process is a shit show, I'm not gonna lie, right? It's bad. And I didn't really understand it until we were super busy, and I had to bring people into just the complete and utter chaos. And then I'm looking at them like, I don't have time to train you. My project manager doesn't have time to train you. My ops manager doesn't have time to train you. So that's what's next for us. I don't want to do any more revenue. I don't. I mean, I know people are like, I want to scale, I want to grow, and I want to do it. Like, I'm good where I'm at. I might dial it back just a little bit because I was more profitable doing less gross revenue, believe it or not. And I know I think that would be my little gold nugget for everybody. You know, we have this vanity number of how much gross revenue we do, right? That number doesn't matter, guys. The net profit number is what matters. That's the money that you take home every day. That's what you live on, and that is what actually matters, because you have that money to spend. I mean, I know companies that do a ton of gross revenue, and their net profit is at like 7%, which is trash, right?
What do you think a profit margin should be at?
A healthy one for a roofing company is 12 to 15% net profit. You know, that's a pretty, and that's after everything's paid. That's after, you know, your marketing, that's after your employees, that's after your trucks, that's after material, everything's paid. You look at the end of the year, and if you have a 12 to 15% net profit, you're doing good. You're healthy, right? So.
Nice. Go ahead. It's the same question.
Well, my future is just to keep moving forward, smashing my goals. I'm doing really good. I've done so good just since I've been with this company, just soared every year. I do better in sales. My numbers keep going up. I just need to focus more on learning more, right? You always want to learn. You always never want to stop learning. So I'm going to focus more on learning now that it's slowed down a little bit. Wait for the next big one, right? So that's my plan. And my next project for my company is maybe one day I'll own one.
Nice.
There you go.
How much FOMO are you having in Colorado right now with a million homes getting hit with hail the other day?
Yeah, it's beautiful there. It's beautiful.
You want to come back, and or are you going to stay here?
No, I'm staying. Yeah. This is home now. So.
Awesome. River, what about you? Are you going to Colorado?
Hell yeah. I actually have teams moving there as we're speaking.
Awesome. Well, you're staying with me, so.
Oh, that's good. So what's in the future for my company, Shield Tech? We are actually pretty well stabilized. Our standard operating procedure is pretty well intact at this point. I've always been a very high production, low sales force, probably opposite of a lot of people on that. So I'm actually growing my sales force right now and kind of trying to organically grow that process out.
How hard has that been?
Not really so bad.
Yeah.
You know, in all honesty, I mean, salespeople are going to show you who they are pretty quickly. All right, and there's a lot of.
It's like a relationship, less than 4 months.
That's it. Well, that's. Man, there's the good ones will come in, and you'll kind of know.
Not saying that because I know.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And much like these guys said here, I mean, having roofing experience, I think is a plus. But you know, a lot of people that work for me have never done it before at all.
Sure.
So I hire for the people.
Yeah.
What are you in? What's going on with that? I always do a 90-day trial with everybody and get a feel for them, and I want to see what they look like in a bad situation. You know, customers are going to scream at you ridiculously. Let's all be honest. Sometimes, so I'm doing that. So I'm actually in a scale up type of a thing, but I'm not trying to like go. I want to go 10x next year. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to keep kind of growing the brand up, like we're doing, and trying to get as many families as we can fed throughout the process of it.
What's it like working for River?
It's amazing.
What's the culture like?
Everyone is super kind. He's super kind to everyone. He truly cares. And with that, like, we care back. And we care about our customers. I have a relationship with all of my customers. I'm from Louisiana. We see lots of hurricanes.
Louisiana?
Yes, I'm a Cajun girl. So I have a lot of experience in this, but because I have a big heart and they see it.
Yeah.
I talk to them. I take some of them to the doctor. They invite me to lunches, dinners. We have a good relationship, and that is the most important thing. Your kindness will shine, and that's what River encourages. And he's, picked us, and I think we are very honored to be working for River.
Nice.
Amazing.
Yes.
Awesome. So I got time for 2 quick questions, but we have to have 2 quick answers. All right. So let's do 2 quick questions. Somebody have a question for any of these people up here? Come on. I don't see any hands. There you go.
For anyone, really. You said earlier about fighting fires, being firefighters.
Yeah.
What is one thing that you guys all noticed that helps cut out the firefighters? Maybe.
I'll start. Communication.
I'm gonna take that first. Yeah. Manage your clients' expectations from the front end. Yeah. Let them know it's gonna look like hell. Let them know this is what you guys are looking at on here. Right after you sign them, say, by the way, this is what's about to take place on your property.
Right after you get that.
Right?
After the 3-day mark.
After the 3-day. Well, that's it. But
Yeah, the 3-day mark. Yep.
but I would say
Day 4.
I would say that's the most important thing is from the front end of it. Let them know what's going to happen here, because having a property owner or a homeowner or whoever you're working for sit there and watch over you all day long, they're going to find something. It's not what they do every day. Tell them you're professionals. Guarantee them you're going to make it right at the end of the day. I'll pass it over to you guys.
Oh, yeah.
So planning, right? So planning and expectations. When you asked that question, I had the same exact answer that River did. One of the things that we put in place that was a game changer, we always do a pre-production meeting with the sales staff and the production manager. And we have, and this is something I learned from John, we have what's called project success managers out on site. And the 3 of them meet to understand the job, and then the project success manager meets the crew lead before they start to just make sure the homeowner knows what's going to go on and make sure we have all the materials and make sure the installer understands what the job is. And if there's going to be any hiccups that the installer sees because they're doing the job, they're going to let the PSM know, and we're going to make concessions for that before we start the job. So expectations and planning is the key to, not having those fires.
So one thing about when you're in the fire, as a management, and so this is kind of a spin on the question, but to kind of help with that is like ask questions to the employee or the person that's actually battling the fire. The way I've done it is, it's not like when they come to you and say, here's the problem, I don't give them the answer, right? That's the one thing that's the worst thing that you can do, because they wind up leaning on you for every answer. So it's in the military side of it, it was give me 2 solutions to every question you ask. So I do the same thing. It's like, well, what do you think that we should do? Well, have you tried this? Right? So what's some other questions that you've asked? And just start asking them questions and then let them come up with the answer. Most of the time, your people battling the fires actually have the best answer. They just want your approval. And so you can build that confidence in them to make that decision the next time by asking those questions. And if they give you something that's bogus and off the wall, say, well, have you thought about this if you do that? Right? So lead them down that, and then you wind up having less fires to fight because they fight the fires on the front end. I don't know if that was really the basis of the question too, but hopefully that helps.
Jamie, you have anything to add to this? How do you deal with difficult customers or bad Mondays is what I call them?
Bad money. Communication. Just communicate with your homeowners. Don't lie to your homeowners. Be honest to your homeowners. It could always be fixed. If you don't know, find out for them. It's the best.
What do you mean? You don't tell them you had to be in the hospital all weekend?
Sick kid. Sorry. No.
Sick kid, yeah. Leon, we will come back to you in just a few minutes. I got to go on to the next segment, but please give these guys a round of applause. Know these people, shake their hands, get their phone numbers so that you can call them and talk with them more. But thank you guys for being a part of our event. You guys don't know how much it means to our team that you guys said yes. So appreciate it, guys.
Exit stage left.
Yes.